All right, guys, we're going to start this episode off with a little story. I'm 43 years old now, so it was actually pretty close to 15 years ago in my late 20s when I experienced debilitating back pain for the first time. I was out riding my dirt bike one day, had a little niggle in my lower back that had been there for months, and I just kept saying, she'll be right. My back ended up spasming on me. I had to get lifted off my dirt bike when I got back to our car. I had to be driven home. I couldn't ride my dirt bike anymore. So that happened to me in my late 20s. Up to that point, I had only ever ridden my dirt bike, ridden my mountain bike. I had never touched a weight in my life. I'd never done any strength training in my life. So going through that process of figuring out how to fix my body from back pain is when I first found foundation training. So for where I was at that point in time, like I say, I'd never strength trained in my life. I had chronic back pain. The foundation training program certainly helped me. So I doubt very much whether Eric Goodman will watch this video, but if you are watching this video, Eric Goodman, I owe you a ton of gratitude because you did certainly help me at that time in my journey move out of pain. So honestly, I'm super grateful for that happening to me, the back pain journey, I suppose. Looking back now, if that hadn't have happened to me 15 years ago, I wouldn't be here making this video for you guys. I got to this point in my late 20s where my body broke down on me, couldn't do the thing that I'd loved my whole life, couldn't ride my dirt bike anymore. So I'm like, okay, I'm in my late 20s here, like I'm not even old yet. I'm in my late 20s, my back is screwed, my body's breaking down, can't ride my dirt bike anymore. So I didn't realize it at the time, but that like set me off on this path of like figuring it out. I wanted to figure out like one, what was wrong, but two, like just wanted to fix myself. I wanted to fix myself so I could get back to doing the things I loved, which was riding my dirt bike. So through that journey, I learned a ton more about how the body works, how the nervous system works to control the body, how the nervous system works in the adaptation of strength, and even how the nervous system, the role it plays in pain. So then eventually 8 years ago, I decided to become a strength and conditioning coach, and it's been 6 years now of that I've been coaching my clients who race dirt bikes on the Race Ready program. So the reason I'm making this video is there's been a lot of hype lately around the foundation training program. It's been on Gypsy Tales, Chase Sexton, Ken Roxon, two examples they use of these pro riders that perform the foundation training, and it kind of gets portrayed that the reason their attack positions are so good on the dirt bike is because they've done foundation training. So I'm making this video just to kind of explain to people where that sort of sits on the scale, where I believe it sits on the scale anyway. Foundation training, and I'm pretty sure Eric says this himself, it's like a pain management program. It's not built for guys that race dirt bikes. It's a pain management program. It was kind of built for people who were in that situation that I was in 15 years ago, chronic pain, couldn't move, needed to get out of pain. So it's like down this end of the scale. We need to be up this end of the scale to ride this dirt bike at a high level and to have anywhere near the ability to tolerate the forces and the loads and have great technique like Chase and Kenny are. So down here we have foundation training, which is this like entry point to movement. It's body weight isometric exercises. And when you are in pain, a body weight isometric exercise, holding a body weight isometric position, is the safest position for your brain. Your nervous system is going to feel quite safe in a body weight isometric position. Hence why it is a great option if you are potentially in pain. As we progress, when the goal becomes performance on this dirt bike, we need to be able to move to and from those positions, and we need to be able to do that under load. We need to be able to produce force from those positions. The nervous system, once you get out of pain and it becomes about performance, the nervous system doesn't really care about what you can do holding an isometric position under your own body weight. The nervous system cares about what we can do under load. How much force can I produce from these positions? How well can I move to and from these positions under load? That means our nervous system is prepared then for what we are going to face on this dirt bike. When we look at Chase and Kenny, two prime examples, these are guys who are not afraid to share some of their training on social media. We know for a fact they squat heavy, they split squat heavy, they trap bar deadlift heavy. So personally, I believe what we are seeing them express on this dirt bike, their awesome technique on this dirt bike when they ride, is more a reflection of how strong they are, not a reflection of foundation training. That's my own personal opinion. So, bodyweight isometric exercises certainly have some value, and I certainly use bodyweight variations along the journey and the process of teaching my clients how to hinge. It's super common for people to really struggle to be able to perform a high quality hip hinge pattern. I believe most of that is because people just lack the skill, and even a lot of coaches out there lack the skill to be able to coach someone through the process of a high quality hinge, let alone like at body weight, let alone teaching them the skills they need to learn to be able to load it up heavy in something like an RDL or a deadlift. And then of course there's a ton of fear around deadlifts, around hip hinging and loading our lower back, which is again simply just, I believe, comes from people who lack the skill to be able to coach it confidently. So some of the skills that I include to teach my clients through that process, at the beginning, it is about including some body weight variations. We're teaching them how to breathe, simply learning how to breathe. Can we expand our entire rib cage? Can we control our pelvis? Do we have good awareness and control over our pelvic tilt from an anterior to a posterior position? Then, can we just hinge at our own body weight? Can we perform a nice strict hip hinge at our own body weight? From there, that's like nailing the basics. From there, we can begin to bring in some external load. We can begin to add load to those movements. So I really like including B stance or a unilateral RDL variation for my clients. Here, it's a little bit less focus on like massive amount of tension around the rib cage, and we can perform a hinge in a little bit of a more relaxed manner in terms of the rib cage and around the core. And we're also getting some nice juicy benefits around hip mobility, internal rotation, and lengthening that glute with the B stance variation. So I'm a big fan of them, teaching them through the process. Then we want to bring in the bilateral, in my humble opinion, the king of hip hinge movements is just a bilateral barbell RDL, progressing our strength up. Again, once we've mastered these skills of controlling our pelvis, learning how to breathe and expand our rib cage, learning how to hinge, then we can start to layer the load, layer the intensity on over time. Where most people go wrong is they either lack the skill or they lack load management. So they apply too much load before their skill is ready for that amount of load. That's where most people run into issues that have potentially been injured performing a deadlift or a hip hinge exercise. It's simply they've exceeded their capacity before their skill has allowed them to be able to tolerate that capacity. So remember, I tell all my clients, it's a marathon, not a sprint. It's gonna take months and years. We're not talking days and weeks. We're not talking a 6-week program. We're talking a commitment to consistent training for months and years. Like, that's what it takes. Over time, when you train consistently and you learn these skills, you will get to a point where you can throw 80, 100 kilos on the barbell and perform an RDL for 5 to 8 reps very comfortably, very easily, and very safely. And I can tell you without a shadow of a doubt that when you can do that, your ability to maintain that attack position on this dirt bike for hours on end will go through the roof. There will be a tangible result that you will feel when you ride this dirt bike. So, all of those skills that I teach my clients, if you would like to know what they are, if you would like to learn them for yourself, whether you're a complete novice, never stepped in the gym, or you're already experienced and you just want a little bit of extra knowledge around some of the skills, some of the cues that I coach my clients on to really dial in their hip hinge so they can confidently add load to the movement, I've created this little PDF. It's all of the exercises that I teach my clients from absolute novice, beginner stage to progressing into loading the movement and getting really strong in these different variations. So it's in the show notes of this episode. You can download it. It's free. There's a detailed video explanation for every single exercise from myself, so you can apply it. Then let me know how it goes for you. I want to hear about the results.